An ongoing turf war seems to be heating up in Winnipeg. As police work to fight the war on drugs in this city, rival street gangs are fighting each other for a bigger share in the illegal drug trade. CTV's Caroline Bargut joins us now. Now, as a result of the ongoing tensions, Caroline, police already beefed up patrols in the affected areas.
That's right, Gord. There have been 5 shootings in the past 6 days. This home behind me has been the target of 2 of those shootings. I'm not sure if you can see, but there are 8 bullet holes in the window and 1 in the door. And as you mentioned, because of the escalating violence, police have beefed up the presence in the West End, hoping to make people living here feel a little safer.
Look how close my house is.
Her neighbor's house was shot up twice in 2 days. Norma Peters says the place was also firebombed. She believes a turf war over drugs is the reason. Do you know your neighbors?
No, they're crackheads, and I want them out of the area.
Rival gang members were heard fighting outside this home on Tuesday night. Threats were made. The next morning, the home was shot up.
The bullet hole here, and you can see that they were smoking.
A bong and a big mess is all that's left behind inside this West End home. It's also come under fire.
Say 100% upset, 200% I'm upset.
The woman who owns the home didn't want her name used, but says it was recently rented out to a man who claimed to be a university student. She had no idea he was also dabbling in drugs.
I'm going to university.
With good references.
Right? Yeah. University, and that is a lie.
In the city, there have been 5 shootings in the past 6 days. Neighbors believe the gun violence is part of an ongoing turf war between rival gangs, fighting for a bigger share of the city's drug trade.
You can tell just by seeing the activity in the back alley that there's definitely something being dealt out of that house.
Winnipeg police have increased the number of officers in the affected areas, while investigators search for suspects and motives in each of the shootings.
Just because we're acknowledging, or members of the public might acknowledge, well, I'm not involved in that type of criminal behavior, I shouldn't be worried or concerned. Absolutely, we should all be concerned.
Sources tell CTV News gangs and drugs have been connected to all 5 shootings, but police are not yet confirming that. Officers are also still investigating whether any of the shootings are linked. As for the increased police presence, officers say members of the street crime unit are already patrolling the affected areas, but more officers could also be added.
All right, thanks for this. CTV's Caroline Bargut reporting live tonight.
Meanwhile, in soggy southern Manitoba, there is more rain in the forecast, and this is raising fears of a second surge. Anxiety is especially high for those who live on the shores of Lake Manitoba, where strong winds overnight could send even more floodwaters back their way. CTV's Caroline Bargut has the latest.
For Don and Cindy Clarkson, this has become a never-ending flood fight. Their Lake Manitoba home survived the last storm, but the worst isn't over just yet.
We're preparing for the next major storm that brings north winds.
And the Clarksons aren't the only ones clearing away debris to make room for more sandbags as the flood threat heightens once again. Water levels on Lake Manitoba are at a record high. Where I'm standing, about a mile away from where the shore should be. And the weather forecast isn't looking good for this flood-affected area. Heavy rain expected on Sunday, predicted to bring another foot of water to this already swollen lake. Record high lake levels proved disastrous nearly 2 weeks ago when a spring storm forced about 1,000 people from their homes and cottages along Lake Manitoba. 90-kilometer-an-hour wind gusts sent waves crashing onto shore, destroying dozens of properties and damaging hundreds more.
If we get another foot of rise on this lake, if we had a storm similar to what came at us on the 31st, that would almost basically wipe us off the map.
People here blaming the province for deliberately diverting water from the Assiniboine River into Lake Manitoba. The government says it had little choice and plans to compensate property owners for their losses. For Benito Quintas, it's too little, too late.
I feel very bad because I planned to sell my house in Winnipeg, in Maples, and move it to here. And now my life has changed completely.
The cottage Quintas wanted to retire in has been destroyed. The beach it once rested on washed away. The area still so unsafe, he hasn't been allowed in to see it. And with more rain in the forecast, he wonders if he ever will. Caroline Bargut, CTV News, Delta Beach, Manitoba.
Over the last week, you've likely seen people walking around without any mitts, scarves, or toques.
Better not have been my kids.
No. CTV's Caroline Bargut joins us now. She does have a scarf on and mitts, though.
I do.
Which is good.
Good girl. Caroline, it has been an unusually warm winter so far, hasn't it?
That's right. It's actually been so mild that the Assiniboine Park Duck Pond has been forced to shut down several times. There are a few people skating tonight, but officials are asking people to stay off the ice until further notice. But that could all change because the mercury is about to drop.
What's the polar bear lunch right here at Orlando Seafood?
Decked out in his summer shorts, Arnaldo Carrera is serving up his annual polar bear lunch. The charity feast is usually served up in the bitter cold. Not this year.
Fun is when it's cold, really cold. When the fork sticks to your tongue and the wine freezes in the glasses, then that's fun.
Jack Lincoln isn't complaining. Last time he attended the outdoor lunch, he was forced to learn how to eat soup with mitts on. This year, a different challenge.
It's just wonderful out here. The only problem is the sun is so bright we had to wear sunglasses today.
Open water and construction workers without heavy coats on, an unusual sight in January. The productivity is rising here with the mercury, putting the completion of the new Disraeli overpass right on schedule.
The weather has really helped us with equipment issues. We don't have to deal with a typical weather day where you'd have to shut down equipment at certain cold temperatures.
But not everyone is happy about the balmy weather. The snow you see here is almost all man-made. But because it's been so mild, it's melting as quickly as it's being churned out. That has forced this outdoor winter park to shut down for 3 days.
We thought we'd be closing due to the cold temperatures, but it's been the complete opposite this year.
Jason Rose is now hoping for a deep freeze. And if the predictions are correct, Mother Nature is on board to grant that wish in the coming days. Get ready to pull out your winter coat and boots because, as Colleen mentioned, temperatures are dropping to a high of only -15 on Wednesday. As for the white stuff, so far, we're not expecting a big snowfall.
All right. Well, last week now we know that Winnipeg broke a 28-year-old record for temperatures. Were any records, I mean, we talked about this earlier, there were some places that did see some records broken today, right?
That's right, Gord. Melita was actually the hot spot today, breaking the record set in 2006. The temperatures reached a high of 8.5 degrees. In Sprague and Gretna, it was the warmest today in 54 years. Also breaking records, as Colleen mentioned, Thompson and Island Lake. Of course, you'll have more details coming up in weather.
All right. Thank you very much. CTV's Caroline Bargut reporting for us tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Gord LeClaire is off this week. As the old saying goes, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. In Portage la Prairie Tuesday, the saying couldn't have been truer for a potato farmer. He found a live hand grenade in his garden, and as CTV's Caroline Bargut shows you tonight, you won't believe what he did with it.
He was tilling his garden when he heard a bang. Idzard Boersma thought he hit a rock. That is, till he got a better look at it.
So I get off the tractor and I see what it is, and then that looks like a grenade.
After looking at it, the 43-year-old potato and onion farmer decided to pick it up.
My initial thought was that machine hit it so hard and nothing happened. It was old and defunct.
But Boersma wasn't sure what to do with it. So with his hand on the pin, he picked it up, put it in the cup holder of his truck, and drove it here to the RCMP detachment. He walked in and asked to speak with an officer. When the clerk at the front desk asked why, he showed her the hand grenade. Police called in the military to examine the explosive device and dispose of it. The RCMP detachment was evacuated as a precaution.
The explosive experts from 17 Wing examined it briefly while I was with them, and they said it had the feel and appearance of being a live grenade.
Here's where this hand grenade was buried.
The hand grenade is believed to be left over from the Second World War. And while it seemed like a dud, Boersma now realizes the situation could have ended much differently. And if by chance he happens to stumble upon another one tilling his garden...
I've been told to leave it and let these guys deal with it.
So you're not going to pick it up again?
No, I don't think so. No, then I've been forewarned.
Caroline Bargut, CTV News, Portage la Prairie.